In this lesson, we're going to learn about dimensioning in AutoCAD and about plotting your drawings in AutoCAD. When you're dimensioning your drawing, the first thing that you do is to format the dimension style. To do that, you go to Format, and you go to Dimension Style. You can also type in Dim Style, like IMSTYL. So you can type that in and you will get to the same screen. So dimensioning, there are two types of dimension. You have the standard and you have the annotative dimension. In annotative, the dimension goes with the scale, and you can use different scales. But I'm going to go through standard first, then we'll go through annotative. So if you choose the standard dimension, you modify it, and okay, and the lines, you make sure it's by layer, color by layer, line type by layer, line width by layer, and the extension lines by layer. You select the type of symbol that you will use, but we're going to select the architectural thick for this. You go to your text, and your text style, you can also select your text style. The text color is by layer, the fill color none, and you can select your text height. You can increase it. For here is 1 feet, and sometimes the dimension is the text style. The text height is set in the text style. Then the primary units here is architectural, and then you say okay. So this is the standard, and the dimension that you are using, you set it as the current dimension, and then you can use it to dimension. Okay, now we're going to set up the annotative, and then we're going to put in the two scales. So for annotative, it's the same thing. You modify it, and then you set up whether it's architectural, and you modify the text and the text color by layer. So basically the settings are the same thing. You should align this with the dimension style, the lines and everything by layer. And the only difference is that when you at the end, it's gonna ask you, so we're gonna use this annotative and say okay, set current. So it's not a current. So when you close and you want to dimension, you can go to dimension linear, or you can type in dimension, or you can go to the annotative panel and you say dimension, and you'll be able to select what you want. So I'm going to dimension it. Make sure that when you're dimensioning, you make sure that you're in the layer for dimension. I'm going to come here and I'll select this and this. So the difference between annotative and standard is that in standard, let's go ahead and make the standard the layer. Okay, so let's go to format, dimension style, and I'm gonna make the standard the current layer and close. And then we're gonna go to dimension linear. So I'll go to dimension, linear dimension, and I'm gonna select this, and I'll select this, and this is our dimension. So that is how you format your dimension style. And so let's format another annotative. So let's go to dimension style, and this time I'm going to select architectural, and I'm going to modify it. So I'm going to put the color and say by layer, the line type by layer, and the line width by layer. Symbol and arrows, you can leave it as close field. So close field is the triangular arrow, and then we're going to go to the text and text color. We'll put it by layer, and we want it to be aligned to the dimension style. So primary you need to make sure it's architectural and scale factor, and then you say okay. So I'm going to come here and say architectural and set it as current and close. So when I come here and I say dimension linear, I come here and put in. So the difference between this and this is that this is not in any scale, but the annotative is in scale. So if I come here and I right click to the annotative and I right click, and I can say, okay, annotative object scale, and they'll say add and delete scale. So right now, the annotative is in 1/4 inch to 1 feet. So I'm gonna go over to the paper space. So this is the D size paper. Okay, this is A size. Okay, and this is A size. So I will double click inside and set the scale of the drawing. So we'll go through viewport at the end of this lesson, but for now I just want to set the scale of this drawing. So we can see the 40.8 inches here. So assuming I'm gonna duplicate this and create another viewport, and I'm gonna create a drawing with 2 scales. So let's delete this viewport. Click outside. Okay, so I want to delete this viewport. I'm going to come here and erase this viewport. We're going to create a drawing with 2 viewports. So I'm going to go to view, and I'm going to go to viewports, and I'm going to say 2 viewports. So vertical, so have 2 viewports here. Okay, so I'm going to set the scale for these 2 viewports. So double click inside this one. So let me click outside first. Double click inside this, and I'm going to set the scale for this. So I'm going to set the scale for this to be 1/4 inch to 1 feet. So this is 1/4 inch to 1 feet. And I'm going to change this scale to 1/8 inch, or let's make it a bigger, into 1 feet. So what you see is that the annotative dimension that we have, you cannot see it here. This is at this scale 332 feet to 1 inch, so you can't see it here. So for us to see that dimension, we have to add the scale to the annotative object. So I'm going to go back to model space, and I'm going to select it, and I'm going to say go here, annotative object style, add delete scale, and I'm going to add and go down, and I'm going to add 3/32 feet to 1 inch. Okay, and we say okay. So once you add that scale and you go back to layout and you go to paper space, now you can see the annotative dimension here on both drawings. So that is what annotative scale does. You're able to add two different scales and you're able to see the drawing in the correct scale on the two drawings when you use annotative dimension. So now we're going to set up our drawing for plotting. And to do that, the first thing you will do is you will go to the paper space, to the layout, you right click, and then we're going to do page setup. You go to the page setup manager. So we're in layout one, right click, page setup manager. So in the page setup manager, you modify. That's where you select your paper style, your plot style. So for this, we're going to use AutoCAD PDF general documentation. And then you select the paper size. We are using this size paper, 36 by 24. So that's what we are going to use. And then you can plot layout, you can plot extents, or you can window what you want to plot, which is you just select what you want to plot. So you can do that. You can window what you want to plot. And then now, plot style, there are different plot styles. You can select monochrome, which is black and white. But for this drawing, we're going to select AIA, standard plot style. We'll go through the different plot styles, but AIA has this standard plot style. It defines line weights for different colors, and that's what we're using for this drawing, the American Institute of Architects standard plot style. And so when you finish selecting, you preview your drawing. Okay, so this, for what we have, the paper size is different. So I'm going to exit and I'm going to say, okay, plot for this drawing. We have the 11 by 8 paper size. It's not the deep plot. So we're going to say, okay, plot. We're going to come here and select the correct paper size. Let's see. 4 by 18. The letter size. So this is 11 by 17. And this is 11 by 8 inches. So let's preview. Let's plot layout, extend, so plot layout and preview. Okay, so the drawing is set. So you have to make sure it's the correct paper size. You have to make sure everything is correct. And then you use your page setup manager to set up your drawing. And once order has been set up, you're now ready to plot your drawing. So we say okay. And then you go to page setup manager. You go to your layout and you click and you plot. So we're still gonna use the PDF, the AutoCAD PDF, and then you say okay. So in this lesson, we have learned how to format your dimension styles, both annotative and standard dimension styles. And we have also learned how to use the page setup manager to set up your drawing. I hope you find it interesting. Thank you.